Yeah.
Oh no!
Matt, what the hell was that?
Wasn't me, coach. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Get off our lawn.
Welcome to Straight Red Card.
Well, hello.
Big huff of smoke there. Good timing. I finished it just in time as the show started.
Puff,
Yeah,
puff, give.
All right. All right.
Look it up, man. Rookie mistakes here. We're coughing.
No, it's not rookie. I just didn't care. I don't care. So what? I was a little late on the puff. No big deal. Welcome to Straight Red Card. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma. The turn in the background, as usual, starts like and subscribe. Yep, thank you, Chris. As usual, the turd in the background says, "Welcome back to the Straight Red Card. There's 100% no conspiracy going on with Twitter bots. Don't you worry. We aren't coming after you. Hey, Derek, you still around? Private Dick Johnson sucks." I heard he was not one of the favored agents hired by the FA, by the U.S. soccer.
I was actually kind of surprised that a lot of people thought that was real.
I hope I didn't offend Filippo in my reply. I said it was, it's about as real as my fucking law degree and my
Nice.
license to do brain surgery. And it's as real as ice, wallow, calm. And what was the other one? Jack me off? I can't remember. I hope he didn't.
One of the names, yeah.
I'm sure he didn't. I mean, I was just trying to be an idiot. So I'm sure it's all fine. By the way, I had this earlier today. This is Ommegan's Three Philosophers. One of the best beers in the world. Ommegang.
Yep,
Not
I'm
gang.
a gang. I'm a gang.
That's too hip hop. It's too rap. This is Ommegang. I believe it is. If Ommegang people are on the show, let me know. They're from Cooperstown, New York, and they make some of the best Belgian brewed beers ever.
You'll have U.S. sponsors for us.
They should sponsor us. And I was going to do the Hello Mood commercial, but those morons don't have a fucking logo yet that they can send me. What are they doing? Send me a logo. I'm using your stuff on the show. You can't figure out how to send me a logo with it in a ridiculous, a normal period of time. You've missed out on the biggest show, one of the bigger shows we just did already, guys. Come on. Shafaro Alphonse, best soccer show in the Midwest.
It's isolating it so much is like saying
it's like we're the
best soccer show this side of the Mississippi. Oh.
We're the best show in Indianapolis.
I guess he can't say this side of the Mississippi because tax on this side of the Mississippi. I'm assuming.
Well, that's fine.
People get a lot more views than us, so
hey,
we
don't need to be stroked. It's okay. It's nice to be.
No fluffers on this show, but it is funny. I had talked about on Twitter. I'm like, I posted a thing where I'm like, hey guys, as hilarious as I found this last weekend, I'm glad that my notifications finally got back to normal, something that I can manage.
Yeah.
And for all the hundreds of people who started following us, join us tonight at 8:15 on YouTube.
Right.
But then a whole story started off saying you should get an intern. I forgot who I was having this conversation with as a whole. I know Jose popped into it, but it's like you should get an intern. I'm like, well, yeah, we could, but it would be an unpaid intern. No pay here. And then Jose jumped on and said, well, could you pay in KY jelly? And I go, I gotta get that shit all out of my closet anyways, man. How's one box a week sound?
No, I don't think.
I said one tube a week. And he goes, it's not enough.
Young people are interns, and most young people, well, back in my day, didn't need any boxes of KY jelly. They had plenty of their own. Now, today, with the youngsters not, hooking up like they used to in the old days, I don't know. Maybe people still need a lot of KY jelly, but for a very different reason. And that's called stroking yourself. So can I just say one thing before we move on? The whole Jimmy Conrad reply where somebody put up a video, I don't remember who it was, of like, and they wanted Jimmy and I to go at it.
Thunderdome, yeah. It was keyboard.
Yeah. I was kind of disturbed a little because it sort of removed the contextual piece of what I said. I said, it's almost like Jimmy Conrad was quoting me, but they started it at Jimmy Conrad was quoting me. That's not what I said. I said it's almost like Jimmy Conrad was quoting me. And so Jimmy must have thought, man, this guy's an arrogant little fuck. But I worked it out with him. And so I think he knows now that that's not exactly what I said. But yeah, Jimmy was gracious as ever, just said, hey, there was context to my relationship with Greg and why I thought he was a dick. And, he was very supportive of
They were
me
combating for the same spot on the same national team.
I mean, there isn't much difference than what we're saying. Jimmy's saying he was a dick, and I'm saying, well, there's not much difference. There's a very fine line between being a dick and being an angry dick. Like, I don't know. I think we've seen it. And then we have the guy, Ian Joy, who said he smashed his head against walls in MLS. So I can only imagine that Greg smashed his head against lockers and walls in Europe, too, before he came to MLS. That couldn't have been an isolated incident, although you would think he'd have a lot more scars on his forehead. All right, so that's that.
But yeah, jumping back to the previous conversation,
yes.
As far as needing KY and all that, you know who will need KY?
I can think of a lot of people who are probably going to need it coming up, but yes, go ahead.
You, Derek, you're going to need the KY.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Doesn't follow me back. I'm going to fuck him until he loves me. I was like, okay, dude, all right. I think I said something like, consider it done. Not the fucking part, but the following part. I have a sensitive colon. It's true, I do.
Well, I mean, U.S. men's national team keyboard warrior, you're assuming it's a dude. It could be a girl. This could be our 0.01% here.
Yeah, but it's still, she's going to fuck me with a strap on. That's still
fair enough. Yeah.
And for a guy who had half of his intestines fall into his testicles 4 years ago, it's probably not a great idea that I do anything.
You're really packing it. You're really packing it. Up in there, aren't you, man?
No, I'm not packing it. I'm saying I don't want it to be packed, so I need it to remain unpacked.
I'm gonna move on forward here because
right,
I thought you said something about losing half of your intestines into your testicles.
Yes, that's called a massive hernia, which is what I had, and I almost died from it. So it was the biggest hernia they've ever recorded. I guess that's what I've been told. Largest hernia they've ever seen. Sean Weeks, don't pass up a good time, Derek. I got plenty of other things I can do. The turd in the background says sensitive colon, massive testicles. Sounds like my wife. Sorry about that, Michael. Yeah. So do we want to start off by taking No, we got a lot to cover. We got a lot to cover before we jump into anything here. That's what I'm saying. Do we want to do some Twitters or whatever questions?
Sorry, I assumed that you were talking about jumping into the conversation. I'm like, dude, it's 8 minutes in, and it's not as deep as the Reina conversation. So
I just have to say, I did watch the 20 game, and I just love that their center forward is named Ricky Van Wolfswinkel. I think that is the most spectacular name for a center forward I've ever heard. And I know he was at Norwich at one time and all that, but he never really got to play. But now he's with Twente. He's playing regularly. He's a regular starter. And just the announcer saying, Wolfswinkel. I loved it. Rick Van Wolfswinkel. Ricky Van Wolfswinkel. What a great name. You can't get a better name than that.
Yeah.
Well, there was a German player named Mirko Dickhout. I think that's a great name too, but he's retired at this point. I think he's a coach in Germany somewhere, but I remember him. And then Balzaretti. That's a fucking great last name. All right, what do you got?
I've got a new player in Europe that you're going to have to track. It's one of our mini Abdul Nats. I don't think you follow this kid yet.
I don't have to. I'll tell you if I'll track him in a second. Orlando Maldonado. He is a German-born defender to an American father, an Italian-German mother, and paternal grandparents originally from Honduras and Puerto Rico. Holy Jesus Christ, I can't follow that. Currently, it is formed in the lower categories of Rot Teufel of the second division, eligible for all these flags. All right.
My response is, I haven't played poker in a long time, but is that a good hand to have?
Most of it. Yeah, I'd say all of it's pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
Who does he play for? We didn't even get to it. Who the fuck is he? You didn't scroll down far enough.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Yeah, they never tell you who. Oh, he plays for Köln. Köln. Cologne. Köln. We say Köln in Germany. You guys say Cologne. Okay. Cologne. Cologne it is. So that's cool. We'll see what happens. Dude, we got lots of kids playing in the youth leagues in Germany. In the U19s, and lots of them. In the 2 teams for all the big, there's so many of them. Yes, I will keep an eye on them. But it's nothing new. It's been going on for some time. Probably, we're talking at least 4 or 5 years now where we've got players stacked into the Bundesliga, lower youth teams. So
they're all over the place. 100%. Yeah. Way too many to track. Way too many to care about as a whole. And they'll start performing. Then we'll be like, hey, look at that.
And how old is he? Did we get how old
2008.
he was?
So what is that? 20?
Got to do math now.
4,
all right.
5, 25. No.
He's already that old? 22? Don't 24.
No. I'm way off. I'm horrible with math right now. It's 2008. So 10. And that's 5 more years.
Plus
so
another
15,
10
16?
plus 22 plus 2 more. That's 24 years old.
No, 2008.
He was born in 2008.
2008 to 2018 is 10.
Okay.
Plus 5 more makes 23.
23 years old.
So he's fit.
You just said 23.
2023. 2008 to 2018 is 10 years.
10.
Add 5 more years to that 10 years gives you 2023.
Oh, so he didn't look 15 to me. He's 15 years old in that
that's
photo.
That's what it's saying, man. He's 14 or 15, yeah.
He's practically a grown fucking man. All right.
You're calculating if it was 98. It's 98.
Oh, whatever. I'm stoned.
Okay.
All right. Math. I'm really good at math, surprisingly, but not tonight, apparently.
Some late Twitter things I wanted to bring up here. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
And he's right. I was thinking of 1998, by the way.
Did you catch, and this is kind of Yanks of Broad Talk, but did you catch the Taylor Booth game?
I caught bits. I had to watch the highlights. And I watched it because he played right wing, and I thought, or right forward, right wing, whatever you want to call it. I thought that's really interesting. So that's not really a position he's played a whole lot of.
Yeah.
But very cool. I mean, he's a regular starter for that team now. He's really come right. Just Frank, I love that shirt crest has FCK on it. Fuck. The only... Yeah, with only the letter U missing.
All right, while I had that one up, I'm laughing at all the other responses here. Take your shoes off for fuck's sake. Math with Brett and Derek. 2nd grade math.
Take your shoes off. What's that one about?
So you can count with your fingers and toes, Derek.
Oh, by the way, my shoes are off. So there's that.
Okay, so back to Taylor Booth.
Yes.
Interesting side note.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor got some staples mid-game and went right back out and played. Look at this thing.
In the head?
Yeah. Just above the eye, it looks like.
Those aren't near the ones I had in my nutsack.
What'd you call those? They're like eagle claws or whatever?
They're nicknamed Eagle Claw. Yeah. They look like that too. Your balls. Think about that shit.
Oh man, this is this just echoes Brian McBride for you right now.
I was about to say that.
Hatch. Put me back on the pitch,
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I hate that song, by the way. It's one of the worst songs he ever wrote. And I like CCR. All right.
That one. Let's see here. While we're talking about players and stuff, let's talk about some of the rumors, I guess.
Okay.
The rumors. It's a silly season. Things will change.
You did a very good German accent there.
I thought so.
These are the rumors.
I've been practicing every night in front of the mirror.
Let's talk about the rumors. What are the rumors coming up now for the American players? Let's talk about them.
All right. Musa.
Liverpool partly leading the race, assigning Musa, Arsenal, and Chelsea also in chase. Well, then Arsenal are morons because they had him and they let him go. They're dumb.
It wouldn't be the first time that's happened, though.
They're going to get a net.
We talked about this before. Remember, Man, you had Pogba. Then they let him go to Juve, and then they bought Pogba back so that he can go back to Juve on the free.
Net loss from some stupid moron who didn't see talent where there was talent. This might happen with Balogun too, by the way.
Well, I mean, let's be frank. When Eunice was there, he's like, oh man, the kid's 18, way too old for Arsenal. Let's get rid of him.
Well, Arsenal don't play their young players, for the most part. And that's been a trend for a while. And so it's going to come back and haunt them here, I think, on this one, but also could haunt them with Balogun. I mean, get better at figuring out who's actually good in your youth players, guys, and don't sell them before you figured it out. Loan them.
That got brought up too somewhere. Somebody was talking about that. Like, I think you sent that to me.
Probably.
On text, right? You're like, Arsenal barely played Balogun,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, they barely played him. No, Middlesbrough barely played Balogun.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
I mean,
we were talking about Hoppy at the time.
I would start him every fucking game, but he didn't get to play every fucking game.
Middlesbrough, fuck.
Yeah. Well, Middlesbrough don't like to play young strikers either. Look at Hoppy. He scored for the U21s.
Yay! Scored a brace.
He better score a brace for the U21s. He started for Schalke not long ago, only a handful of years ago, and now he's playing with kids. Give me a fucking break. What's going on? It was
against like Sunderland's academy team. Yeah, this was a sad day to see him in there, but then it is good that he goes down there and shows that he doesn't belong down there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to play somewhere because they're not playing him with the big boy team. And I think it's because Middlesbrough, they want to move back up, and they're just don't want to take any chances with a young striker right now. They want to keep moving up. So there you go. Although, didn't they get their asses spanked this weekend? I thought they did. I thought Stefan gave up like 4 goals. Last I remembered.
You'd have to look at your list.
I'm looking at it now, but it's a bunch of scribbles.
While you're looking at that, Juventus has decided to sell Weston McKennie this month to fund an incoming strike.
A strike? Like a throat punch? A throat punch.
Brighton beat him 5-1.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
More like a financial punch to the nuts.
Yeah.
Them going down to Serie B.
Fund an incoming strike. So they're going to help the local Walmart workers in fucking nearby the Juventus stomping grounds. Okay. Well, good luck. Good for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing surprising about that news. Quite frankly, if they do end up selling, it's only been broadcasted for the last 2 years that Juventus is going to sell Weston McKennie.
Yep. Oh, by the way, you
Nothing
can
came from it.
See this on my forehead? Look at that thing. Can you see that red mark on my forehead?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
That's my cabinet. My cabinet's above my head in my kitchen. I finally got one right in the kisser. Bam! All right. That was painful, but at least it didn't hit me in the eyeball or anything like that. So,
yeah, I mean,
that's
the same issue, but a different, but yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
That's fucking
At least didn't get my eyeball. Yeah.
Keeping you in check.
Bitch, I said, make me a drink.
Damn. All right. What else we got? Our good friend Brian Schroeder says at the straight card. Let me see. Chris Gary, bro, at the straight red card. Brian. Obviously, I know him very well from Germany. Me? He's talking about me? No.
Yeah, probably.
For me, he's a central striker. It isn't the best position to help out on the wing. Former U.S. men's national team forward and new Norwich manager David Wagner said of Josh Sargent. This is really good news.
Mm-hmm.
And people are really worried about Wagner coming in. Listen, I mean, Wagner, when he was in the championship last time, took a team to the fucking Premier League and kept them up for a season. So he's not a bad coach. He just went back to Schalke when they were in the worst shape they've ever been. And then he took the first place team in Switzerland and who lost some players and tried to keep them still at the top and couldn't quite do it. I think they finished second or third.
Second, yeah.
And he got fired.
If you're not first, Derek, you're last.
In Switzerland, that's true. So there's not a whole lot. I mean, especially as dominant as that team had been before he got there, it did not reflect well that he wasn't able to sustain it. So, yeah, he's back up. He's back in. He's back in the game in Norwich. We'll see what happens. It can't be worse than what we were watching the last handful of games at Norwich. It's been awful. It's been like watching Leeds play recently. And you can even see fucking Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marshall's losing his fucking patience at this point. He really is. He's even talked about like he can't even.
Ernie, I will take that position with the United States national team. Thanks.
He said he's having a hard time enjoying the process, enjoying himself because the pressure is so high. But he's got to figure something out because this cannot go on. And by the way, Aronson's been playing like shit the games right before the World Cup and since the World Cup. There's something wrong with Aronson. I don't know what it is, but it ain't the Aronson we saw at the beginning of the season. Sure, he scurries around just like he always does.
Maybe you need to pull him off and bring him in as a late sub and shove that firecracker up his bum.
It's not that. He puts in the effort. His problem is when he gets the ball, he gets knocked over so easily. It's like, boop. Oh, Aronson's falling down again. Like, this cannot go on. You're not getting the calls, dude. Stop falling down every time somebody, like, brushes against you. You cannot do that. Have you noticed, Aronson? You're not getting the calls anymore. Quit falling over at the slightest touch. But then maybe he needs to put on some physical, he needs to put some muscle on that body because like Pulisic had to do. Remember when he would fall over so easy all the time? Well, he doesn't do it anymore. It's not as much as he used to because he put on a little bit of upper body strength. I think Aronson is like, if you give
him a 2-liter in each hand, or what do they call it in England? They're probably not 2 liters there, are they? It could be 2 liters, right? 2 liters.
No,
yeah.
They do pints in England.
They not do liters too?
No, they do pints. Pints.
Yeah, but a pint is not equivalent to a liter, though.
I don't know. I'm sure they use the metric system after that. I mean, they use pints as how they describe the potables, the drinkables.
Sure. I mean, when it comes to drinking a beer, but you're not drinking a 2-liter beer.
Yeah, I don't know how they describe it. Probably 2 liter then.
A liter, maybe. I don't know. Bucket.
It's not an argument.
It's not really a point. My argument was to maybe he needs to pick up a 2 liter in each arm and do some curls. Start there and work up.
Dude, listen. All right, Pulisic takes off his shirt. He's not like built like some. Who's the guy that ran for president? Had a movie. He was the redheaded kid. And he was in high school, and he ran for class president.
Carrot Top.
No. There's a whole movie. It was a classic. Can't remember the name of the movie or the guy. But anyhow, that's what Pulisic doesn't look like that guy. But when Aronson takes his shirt off, it's like looking at me when I was in middle school. I'm a skinny, little, scrappy dude. All right? No, the red-haired guy, he ran for president. He had a Hispanic-American kid in his class. I think he ran for vice president.
Napoleon Dynamite. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Napoleon Dynamite.
You're talking about like it's like an ancient classic movie, like from like the 40s or not the 40s, but like the 80s or something like that. Like I didn't think you were talking about a movie that was like, I guess it was out.
Movie's 20 years old.
It was about 20 years old. You're right.
Jesus Christ, dude. That's pretty old.
I had to do the math. I'm sitting there going like, no, I watched it in college. Oh, yeah, I watched it in college.
Aronson looks like Napoleon Dynamite when he takes his shirt off. That should not be the case. He needs to put some muscle on. He needs to get in the gym. I mean, Adams doesn't get pushed around, and he's smaller than fucking Aronson. So Aronson needs to put some anyhow, muscle. All right, what else we got?
Vote for Pedro.
Pedro, that's it. Thank you. Jesus. I wonder what Brian's
Speaking of
up to
American
these days.
strikers in England.
In England. Okay.
Yeah.
Per Yakapasinar, U.S. striker Haji Wright is headed to Crystal Palace for $7 million to $8 million. Why? I just don't get this move. The 20-year-old is the second leading scorer in the Turkish league. That's great. With 10 goals in 16 starts. I don't know. I would just imagine him going to Besiktas or Galatasaray or one of the bigger clubs in Turkey first. Because Antalyaspor, well, they've gotten better. They're out of the relegation zone, but not by much.
That kind of makes his argument for him in that sense, though, because if they just got out of relegation zone and he's the second leading goal scorer in Turkey, maybe Turkey's not the place for him.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
I'm not saying Crystal Palace is the place for him either. I'm just saying, I mean, if he's scoring goals on a team that's not doing well, then maybe that
maybe
league is not for him.
Maybe a team that doesn't totally suck, he'll do even better. It's possible.
Might have 11 goals in 16 games. You're right.
I mean, Crystal Palace is on a roller coaster right now in the Premier League, so they need goals. So they think he can bring it, and they're willing to shell out $8 million to do it. Okay, we'll see what happens. I want to see this one come to fruition, though. I'm not sure I'm buying this one yet. I need more. Did this come from our good buddy at Transfer Market?
No, this is Chambers, or Chambers is opposed to that.
No, but I mean, it's Transfer Market.
No, it's this guy. He's a sports journalist, Derek, from Turkey.
Jakob Sinar. Wow. Okay. Righty. Anything else? I mean, I got stuff.
Done with the rumors and all that shenaniganry, I guess.
Oh.
I want to kind of address what has happened over the weekend on Twitter.
Oh, on Twitter.
On the Twits.
Okay.
It was a crazy moment where a single post.
Oh, was this the bot?
Absolutely destroyed my notifications for 2 full days. Every 15 minutes, I was getting 20 plus notifications. 20 plus notifications. You got a notification. There's a notification here. Notification.
I noticed.
and,
Yep.
And while I'll pull it up, let's just read through real quick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is Chuck Watson,
also known as 2 other people, apparently.
Chuck Watson. Let me just pull his account up real quick so we take a look here. He had started in January of 2023.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So it's just fascinating. Somebody can create an account that quickly and spark the crap fest, not even crap fest, but just the notification fest that became my notification box.
Didn't somebody theorize that he was a youth coach? Like his real name is something else? Somebody did. Somebody
probably did. I know that U.S. Men's National Team _ Stan. He is under the impression that these are all bots.
But I don't think it.
I think they're burner accounts, if anything.
Yeah.
But let's read this and let's really think about what he's saying right here.
People don't understand that these accounts and many more are a danger to American soccer culture. Right? We are fucking American soccer culture. First of all of us that love this fucking team and this fuck that. That's bullshit. I've been around longer than I'm sure Chuck Watson.
No, Derek, you're a danger to society as well as this culture. Stop it.
I've been watching U.S. soccer before Chuck Watson was a fucking imaginary sperm in his dad's fucking nutsack. All right. They are fiercely independent. Well, that seems like a good thing. And do not abide by the standards set by the leaders of the game. The leaders of the game. Who the fuck is that supposed to mean? So to me, that sounds like that's a real positive, except for the danger to American soccer culture thing.
But you know what my response was? Did you see it?
Yeah, you thanked him.
I just said thanks.
Yeah,
well, I mean, nothing's negative about this. I really, quite frankly, he's painting a picture that the game has built these NPCs, these leaders of this NPC thought process.
Yeah.
And here we are, these people attack, feed us, U.S. Men's National Team stay, like I said, and there's Jay Hernandez, CONCACAF Edgar.
I didn't know any. I just knew who manager tactical was, and
but
I didn't.
Here's some people who are thinking outside the box, and they're a danger to the culture that has been developed over the course of the last couple of decades because we have USSF telling us what we can think about. Might
this be somebody who's actually one of our friends?
So, and I was thinking that I was like, this could be another James Spencer or Fred Baker.
It could be.
This could just be somebody creating a thing. But oh my god, look at this stuff. It doesn't even show the comments on here, how many comments he got, but he got 48 quote tweets, a bunch of people quoting it, which means that we're all getting hit on that. All the likes, retweets, and then.
Yeah, I think the first instinct for all of us was like, this guy's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
But then if he's a friend of all of ours, then he just did us a favor. So either way, well
hey,
done.
You know what? We got 200 plus followers from him. So
Yeah.
thanks, appreciate
No
it.
complaint.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
I didn't have a
Great.
problem with that. Now, as far as the whole bot thing is concerned, there's a number of people. Tact was one of them. A couple other prominent people on Twitter. All of a sudden, started noticing there was a large swath of followers that don't have pictures that all got created within this last month, joining them like 50 at a time type of thing. Those are bots, and I'm not sure what the reason is. And I noticed that across the board outside of the soccer community of Twitter too. Other people are saying that too. Like, where the fuck did all these people come from? You know? So I don't know if there's going to be something, or if this is a whole against Twitter type thing, and some people are just getting picked randomly, or however it's going, or this could be a whole mass false flagging operation. I don't know.
Yeah.
It hasn't affected us. We only got real people in those 200.
Yeah, that's good to know. Grant Tuberville says, hold on, is Legit trying to turn into CR7?
I didn't really mean to click on this, but why not? We're here.
Yeah, it's meaningless. It's him working out.
Fucking
He's in great shape. His knees aren't, but that's another thing. All right, what else we got?
Speaking of Filippo, he laid out his predictions for the U.S. national team coaching prediction. Did you see this?
I watched it. Yeah, he thinks that.
Oh, did you do a video? He did a video on top of it, huh?
Yeah, he said Jim Curtin probably is going to be the hire, and because he knows Ernie really well, and that the Zinedine Zidane ask was a smokescreen, basically, because
look, we're really looking for people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I know. I like his theory. I think it makes sense. No. It's very U.S. men's national team to do something like that. Hey, look at we asked all these guys we knew would say fuck no to us, and so now we have got no other choice but to settle for Jim Curtin. Which, by the way, I'll take over to Greg Berhalter any day of the week, because Jim Curtin is not Greg Berhalter. They are totally different people. Completely different people. They function on a different level. Jim Curtin is actually a lot smarter than Greg Berhalter, has a lot less baggage than Greg Berhalter, and he's good with youth players. He's brought some of those through the system, McKenzie, Aronson, others. So if U.S. Soccer's setting us up for that, which wouldn't shock me at all, I could live with Jim Curtin just as long as it's not Greg, but I'd rather have somebody else. But, by the way, Charlie Davies.
I was going to bring this up after we read this.
By the way, Charlie Davies, the guy who said we should just, hey, man, there's no reason to panic. There's no reason to move so fucking fast in hiring a new coach or looking for one. Well, guess what? Roberto Martinez was hired today by Portugal. So there's another guy off the charts that we can't ask to be the coach. So, yeah, let's dilly-dally around more. Casey Keller. Yeah, let's just sit around and whack it for a while. Yeah. Let's wait a year and a half, and all the good coaches are hired, and we're left with fucking Jim Curtin, because that's all.
So, Casey, for those who haven't seen the ESPN clip, Casey Keller was asked, like, hey, when do you think we should be looking for this new coach? Should we do it right out the gate? And Keller's stance was basically like, we don't really need to rush into it. We're already in the world. We're automatically in the World Cup, so there's no real competitive games for us at this point. So I'd much rather keeping an eye on managers that are going to be coming out of their contracts with that could come in and have like a year and a half really to just
who's coming out of their contract mid World Cup.
And then they can focus on just developing the team then. I'm like, but that's exactly what happened to Berhalter, and he was forced to continue his must system, and we never really had a chance to develop anything else. So I don't want the next coach to only have a year to look and evaluate. I want the coach to have the full fucking cycle. Is that too much to ask?
It shouldn't be. But according
the lack of competitive games means that we probably should be looking for somebody right now.
Davies and Keller, I would say, are smoking the same weed. The problem is that they're totally different personalities. So I don't know if they really are, because Keller is sedate and Davies is kind of out there. So like Davies will say some crazy shit and he'll change his mind the next fucking day, which I got no problem with. But there's this thing people ask for. Usually it's called consistency. I fall asleep before Keller finished the sentence saying about absolute nothing. Yeah, it's kind of funny how he approaches so what I would say is I
need to rush.
No, Greg, and I don't think God, he's like William Shatner.
Did you notice at the beginning of him that he was talking about the Reynas and he was talking about Greg and he was like, yeah, I know both families and this whole situation is sad.
It's sad.
That's all everybody's saying is, this is sad.
Of course it's fucking sad. We didn't come to you for your opinion about how sad it is. Everybody thinks it's sad. I mean, have a real opinion. That's kind of like, oh, by the way, tight shirt, no longer with ESPN. Gone.
Be joining our channel soon, Derek.
No, he won't. You want anything to do with us?
Him and Herc, we're going both.
Herc might, but not fucking Twellman. We have no friend connections with Twellman. Well, that's not totally true. We do, but I don't think that would help us in any way. I don't think I could call John O'Brien and go, hey, can you hook me up with Twellman? I don't think John O'Brien would go, man, no, fuck that. I got to go surf. I'm not talking to Twellman.
Sounds like
hang up the phone on me.
You should hear what Tight Shirt says about you behind closed doors. Oh my God.
I don't think Tight Shirt says shit about us. I don't think he gives two fucks about the fact that we've labeled him for over a decade now. It's Tight Shirt Twellman.
Twellman goes to parties and shit like that. They're like, oh, Tight Shirt, what's up? And like, why do people keep calling me that?
Oh, he knows by now. My U.S. men's national team coach prediction, and then we'll get to Chambers. Berhalter will not return. We will have an intern coach till the 2023. Name some of I hope this is not true, Tactical. I know you're not saying like it is going to be true. It's just kind of like your prediction.
It's the channeling your inner Berhalter type of thing.
Yeah. Names
channeling your inner USSF.
They will hire Jim Curtin. Yeah, I mean, it's believable to me. I hope you're wrong. And I do think the Zidane ask was a smokescreen. I really do. Because it's so far out there. And they already knew prior to that Portugal and Brazil had been turned down. So what? You're going to turn them down and then go, oh, United States. Well, he wouldn't say that. He'd go, oh, I don't know how to speak their language. He'd be fucked up.
You have to think that some of these like hired name coaches might be looking at us going, God, their media softball tosses some shit up there, man. I mean, this could be a cush 4 years.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be interested.
No pressure at all. Well, I gotta beat Mexico and Japan. That's it, really? Canada? Really? Is that all?
How's he qualified? I mean, he coached the best team in the world, or one of the best teams in the world, Real Madrid. Yeah. Like he's going to get to our camp and go, well, fuck, this sucks compared to what I had at Real Madrid. This is not the same thing. No, you're not going to be able to do the things you did at Real Madrid. So Chambers says Simeone is leaving Atletico after season. FWIW.
For what it's worth.
So thank you. I'm glad you're here because I'd be like FWI fucking W. What the fuck is that? Yeah, boomer. All right, I don't know what that means, but now I do. Thank you. No, I don't think that's what we want either. I don't think Simeone. There's a reason he's losing one of the best players on his team, and they're about to sign with I think Arsenal. I can't remember who it was.
João?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's Chelsea.
Felix, huh? Chelsea. Is it Chelsea?
That's Chelsea. It's what's being reported all over Twitters.
Well, that sucks for everybody else at Chelsea. All the offensive players. John Reck says we should wait to hire Tata in 2025. I'd rather have my colon fucked by that guy earlier than have Tata. And I used to really respect Tata, but I don't anymore.
Remember, this last cycle was between him and Berhalter.
It's pathetic. Chris Gary, I think we could lure Hugo Perez out of El Salvador. There's no doubt he would take the job tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But, keep in mind, Hugo Perez is part of a different generation. He came before the Berhalters and the Reynas and the McBrides. That's the 2002, 2008 generation, right? They are the guys that are older, like Hugo Perez, who played early on, are more of the what would you call it? The guys that really don't have as many connections with modern day.
I was going to say the Wijnaldum generation.
Yes, correct. Although, Lawless, he was the GM of
LA.
Los Angeles Galaxy. I don't know, but outside of that, he's never really had a serious job again. But he's part of a different Harks generation, the Winalda generation, and those guys didn't get as ingrained into U.S. soccer fabric. Like they were kind of like, oh no, players, we're executives. We don't need players making decisions. This is an executive position here at U.S. Soccer. That means we need guys from Harvard and guys, from Princeton and those kind of guys got to run this organization. That's how they thought of it back then. Like it's only a recent phenomenon that players were brought in. And of course that led to the fucking incestuous bullshit that went down last week. Because they're all players from the same fucking team in the same generation.
Yep, and we got plenty to talk about that in just a little bit too. So
we got to talk about that more.
Yeah, you made me look up a YouTube video about it.
Oh, well, why don't we just do it then?
Well, we're gonna get there. Hold on.
All right. All right.
Oh, speaking of the coaches, potential coaches.
Philadelphia Union coach Jim Curtin says he's not been contacted about the U.S. men's national team job and says he's happy to be in Philadelphia.
Only has one more year on his contract, too. It's his final year. Now, Philly might sign him back up unless the U.S. comes to knocking. But Jim's saying I haven't heard from them yet.
Hey, Jim, I heard you're friends with Ernie. And as far as I understand it, anybody that's friends with Ernie can just call him whatever they want and talk about rape. Or, excuse me, not rape, beating of girlfriends. So if they can do that, then you can certainly pick up a phone and call Ernie and go, hey man, I'd like to talk to you about that U.S. men's national team job that Greg's about to lose.
Jim's probably like, hey Ernie, I've only ever played in one window with Claudio, so we're not the closest of friends. So I feel like this is the way to go.
Ernie, hey man, I have not kicked any of my former girlfriends. I'd like the job. I'd pay top dollar for this. It'll be a real beatdown. Reyna is a smaller dude. I think Berhalter would kick his ass.
Yeah, but Berhalter's practically Skeletor. I mean, have you seen him?
And when I say Berhalter would kick his ass, I mean literally kick it. He'd be kicking.
That's true. He does have the reach with his legs, doesn't he?
But don't.
And he's been practicing. You saw him all during his tenure with the national team. Every behind the crest included Berhalter taking a couple volleys against the team, the goalkeeper. So he's jacked and ready, and Claudio's been sitting behind the desk.
Reyna's like 5'8", and he's a little chubby right now, and a little out of shape. Greg's in pretty goddamn good shape, and he's 6'1", 6'2", 6'1.5".
And Hugh, I feel like you've used this name before, Hugh. I mean, I know you every show, 2 shows a week, and you're coming up with a new name, Mitch. I feel like we've done Hugh.
We've done this one, huge asshole. Yeah, absolutely.
But still, I appreciate the effort and all the work you go into making these things.
The question is that last name, Jassel. I'm just wondering what that could be. Could that be French? Jassol. Could that be French? Could be French.
Could be.
The whole Jassol family.
Let's see what he says on this. So, breaking news: Berhalter versus Claudio pay-per-view. Greg Berhalter takes on Claudio Reyna in a fight for the ages. Oh, I thought this was gonna be a joke.
Fucking Greg smoking a joint while he's boxing? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think either of those guys are smoking joints. That's more something that happens in this neck of the woods. All right.
Yeah, this nice meme that Mitch put on for us leads us right into our new topic.
All right. Oh,
good Lord.
Listen, when you're hiring a guy to be the chief executive of U.S. Soccer, one thing you should probably figure out before.
Not Ernie, by the way, guys. Not Ernie.
Not Ernie. Is whether or not he can speak the language fluently. I mean English. Like, I know he was born in the United States, but you run into some people and they can't say anything but between every other word. This is the guy that we hired. His name is, I'm sure he's a wonderful guy.
It's gonna pop up. Don't worry about it.
JT Batson. I'm sure he is a fabulously warm loving guy. with a great family.
Probably talks perfectly fine off the air.
Can probably juggle 3 balls at least at once, and has a perfectly shaped cock. But when it comes to talking, that's not really his thing. He's not really good at talking. So we're about to see that.
Chris Gary says Zoom backgrounds aren't USSF employee friends. Well, that's because they don't want to see all the dirty stuff that's happening behind them.
Yeah, there's all kinds of weird shit usually happening behind U.S. soccer executives while they're having a meeting. And is it me, or does Ernie Stewart kind of look like he should be like one of the characters in a fucking Star Wars movie? He's looking a little weird these days. All right. All right. Here we go. This is
we're gonna have to break this up because there's at least a minute of him saying nothing.
Right. And by the way, I thought it was JT Batson. I didn't know it was TJ. I thought it was JT.
Okay, so no, that takes me back. That's what I was looking at. Hold on 1 second.
It's JT Batson.
It's JT. Okay, because you said JT. I thought that's what this channel was from. TJ Sports. I was like, wait a second.
No, the channel's TJ Sports.
Yeah.
This is JT Batson, who's the chief executive.
I'm always
at
curious,
U.S. Soccer.
I'm always curious why shit like this or any of the other pressers don't show up on the USSF soccer page forever. The U.S. Soccer. Why does it always show up on the TJ Sports first?
Because he's a sports journalist who's allowed to go to and he doesn't often ask questions, but he does post up the videos.
But that's my point. My point is, like, why doesn't USSF do this?
Because this is their dirty laundry, and they don't really want it on like a huge channel like their U.S. Soccer channel, which is, this would be actual news. They don't want this covered. This is not, especially this interview, because JT gets asked basically, what's going to happen now that you found out that Greg kicked his girlfriend in the pussy. So that was the question, or something like it. Mitch Desi, I should have done a kickboxing meme in hindsight. Very true. Very true. All right. Here's one of our big time executives.
We're going to have to split this up because, again, it's a minute of nothingness. But
he gets asked a really complicated question about Greg kicking his girlfriend in the pussy in 1991. Here's how he answers it. He smiles first. You're muted. He's muted. Brett, he's muted. No one can hear this.
I shared audio. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I swear USSF is trying to fuck us.
Motherfucker. All right. So they ask him a serious question about girlfriend beating, and he starts it off like this. I'm gonna
we on December 11th, we received notice of an allegation that we felt merited a formal investigation. That we kicked off an investigation into the incident.
Okay, so far, I know there's an investigation.
And there's 6 us. So far, 6 us.
Every single kind of breaks it off. It all of a sudden is like, and you're like, oh. And all of a sudden it continues, and you're like, oh, picking back up, huh?
It's almost like he's nervous about the question, right? He's nervous about the question. And 2, he's trying to be really careful he doesn't say anything stupid. So he's got to throw a lot of us in there as he works through the sentence.
Joey says, am I lagging or?
No, this is just an fest.
Chris Gary goes, LOL, kicked off? Sean Weeks says, take a shot for every he says.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. Or a bong hit for each All right, keep going.
Batson's been hitting the sauce?
I don't know. Doesn't sound like he's qualified for this job, but go ahead.
Was alleged to us regarding Greg Berhalter that predated his time as men's national team coach. That is the investigation we started. Through the course of that investigation, we learned of potentially inappropriate communication.
Inappropriate by outside. What is the big mystery here? We know who the outside forces are.
Here's the thing. And not only that, but maybe legally speaking, he's not allowed to say anything. I don't know. But
I get it.
Everything he's saying here was spelled out word for word without the us in their release on the 11th.
Yes.
So why is he answering? Like, we already talked about this. Could you just go back and reread that?
We
That's what I would
already
say.
know who the third fucking party is. It is Danielle and fucking Claudio Reyna. What you need to hire Alston and Bird LLP for, when you have the actual testimony from the person who took the calls, McBride and fucking Ernie, just write down what they said they heard. What's the investigation? What's so necessary? I understand that's a law firm, and they want to look into it to see if they can sue somebody. But that's the only thing I can fucking get out of this at this point.
And what are they invest? Again, it's a 30-year-old incident. What are they actually going to investigate that hasn't already been spelled out
Everybody
in
said,
public?
yeah, it's already all out there. There's no investigation needed.
You think the law firm comes back and goes, well, we could keep investigating and charge USSF for per hour?
Did the Reynas hire a hitman? I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it very much they did. I doubt it that they hired someone to club them in the legs, a la Tanya Harding. I doubt any of that happened. I don't think an investigation is necessary. This is very obvious what this is. It's a very angry mother calling Ernie Stewart. End of story.
I think this is basically the bed that USSF has made, given the whole horrific issues that have been occurring with NWSL and stuff like that. That they've said, okay, every time something comes out, we're going to investigate it. And all of a sudden, this comes down like, fuck, this is 30 years old. We got to investigate.
No, they're investigating.
Investigate it.
No, they're investigating the third parties. As we go on, you'll see. Samuel, thank you so much for the $10. We appreciate it.
Okay, let's do this thing first.
Okay. Love the show. Very random, but do you guys have any career advice? I graduated with a degree in chemistry in May and just got laid off. I thought he was just going to say he just got laid, and then the word off came afterward. That sucks, dude. For my first job, which has been really disheartening. Yeah, well, just know this, Samuel. You got laid off, and you weren't fired, okay? So go get your unemployment. Make sure you get that because you were laid off. So go out and get that.
Make sure you fill the paperwork out properly, not like Derek.
And that's not what happened, Brett. So my company, I got laid off basically from my company when it went down, and it's a nonprofit named the March of Dimes, which I was the director of all of Southern Indiana. Well, they started closing all our offices up one at a time, and I kind of knew what was coming when I had to lay off a bunch of my workers, and then I knew I was going to finally be laid off myself. So, I went looking for jobs immediately, but I definitely took my unemployment. Go get it. It'll keep you afloat for a little while you find the job of your dreams, dude. There are going to be other jobs out there, and with the chemistry degree, you could even look into getting a further degree, like a master's in something, which in chemistry will take you further up the ladder in those jobs. If you can get a master's or a doctorate would be, well, splendid. But I would at least get your master's in chemistry. You could go back to school now and probably get some sort of funding for that. I don't know. For me, I'm a kid of a Army kid, so my college, if I went to get a master's, would be free, but yours wouldn't probably. So I don't know. You'll have to weigh that, take a loan, go back to school, because if you stop now, all the research shows that people don't go jump back, like they get out of school and go take a job, they never go back and get their master's. It's a very small percentage of people who do.
That would be, that's something to consider. As far as, on top of that, assuming this is pure speculation, but assuming you have student loans, going back to school would put those back on hold. Although unemployment also puts those on hold. So
yeah,
that's definitely something to consider if you're still looking for a job right now.
Yeah, a layoff is not your fault. Just keep that in mind. You were laid off because of other circumstances. You weren't laid off because you were a bad worker or a bad person. So don't take it personally. If you want to look for another job, keep looking. But remember, there are other avenues. If you've got a chemistry degree, you can take that further. A chemistry degree, people need scientists, period. People who know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to mixing chemicals together. That shit, those jobs are all over the place. So with a higher degree, you're more likely to get hired at one of those, bigger positions where they mix shit together. Anyhow, that's chemistry.
Depending on personality,
you would know that better than me.
Depending on personality with chemistry, consider starting a YouTube channel.
Blow things up.
It's not going to pay the bills right now, but it's definitely a side hustle, if you know.
I get that it's a bummer, man, but if you just graduated and you're fairly young, you got a whole life ahead of you. I wouldn't take it personally.
No.
We all have failed. All of us have failed.
It's been this
before.
is technology on that side.
And that, by the way, you didn't fail. You got laid off, so you didn't fail. This isn't even one of those failures. Go ahead.
In technology, a friend of mine informed me, he goes, when I first started in tech, because I didn't go to school for technology. I got my degree in business, came out, found out that my degree was such a broad stroke of a degree that it didn't really help me get any job. And but I ended up going back into technology. And a friend of mine goes, hey, after the first 9 months of being in a job, your first job, start looking for other jobs at that point, because you're already being paid too little for what you know. So in this sense, take the experience you got, apply it moving forward, and you're likely to get something better.
Yep, we got to
look.
The world is your oyster still. All right. Let's finish up this JT babbler.
And behavior from third parties towards U.S. soccer staff, and we have included that into the investigation. But
why?
To clarify,
we already know who they are and what they did.
Again, I'm listening to him talk, and I go, this sounds like a guy who's not sure what he can and cannot say.
Yeah.
So he's overthinking it, and he's adding a lot of buzz because, yes, I can say it. Okay.
He sounds like he's walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And if you're the fucking chief executive officer, or the chief executive, of U.S. Soccer, you should probably sound like you know what the fuck you're talking about, and be able to actually put sentences together without saying 100 times. All right, that's enough of this guy. That's enough.
Okay.
Right.
I did want to bring up one thing that Berlin brought up on the show, or
you mean we're not going to get to the topic?
Not just yet.
Until an hour?
Yes, Derek. This is how it rolls.
Christ Almighty.
Let's see. This is one less comment we have to bring up later on, Derek. So feel happy about this.
Okay. This was a coordinated disinformation campaign by U.S. Soccer and Berhalter. No corrections or retractions on the ESPN blackmail article. Everything released at the same time. My question is, what sort of journalistic integrity is left by virtually any MS mainstream soccer outlet? Not much after that. Although, again, we did say
the Athletic was pretty spot on there.
Yeah, we did say, hey, we understand why Jeff Carlisle had to edit his article 100 times, but shouldn't there have been some sort of note at the end of Jeff's article that clarified what they had to fix and documented what they had to fix, because they got it wrong?
Put red lines striking through the stuff that's bullshit, and then put in bold text underneath it the correct shit.
How about a follow-up article that talks about all the reasons he had to make those 100 corrections to his article, and why the article had nothing to do with blackmail at all?
Yeah.
And that it wasn't Claudio Reyna. And then tell us why you had such bad information and who you got it from. Generally, you don't have to tell us her name, but just tell us why they fucked you with a bunch of bullshit information, Jeff. Just tell us.
So
I mean, I know you can't. Because you'll never get a fucking another interview
exactly,
again. And I get it, Jeff. You won't. And I know. I've been there. You say bad things.
It's had so many
you're gone.
redactions. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's funny because if you look at when things were coming out, and it's funny because everything came out Tuesday initially. The Berhalter and USSF came out Tuesday, and I texted Derek and I'm like, hey, should we do like an emergency live stream for this? And you're like, I got stuff to do with my family today. It's not going to happen. It'll just wait till Thursday. And that worked out so well for us because shit came out in the next 48 hours that really altered how the public's thought process was initially on Tuesday.
And I even told you that. I said, we're going to find, there's going to be more shit coming out.
Yeah.
And this is all going to be a lot more clear later. Let's just let it sit and rest.
So it's just, when you those came out, and all of a sudden you started seeing all the pundits, all of the former players coming out saying, "Oh my God, Berhalter's being blackmailed."
Mm-hmm.
And even on Twitter, I'm like, whenever somebody's like, "What's happening here?" I'm like, "Well, apparently Berhalter saying that he got blackmailed and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Just
Yeah.
kind of rehashing what's been announced. But I never really took a stance as far as it is concerned. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody, don't know who, was willing to blackmail Berhalter during the World Cup.
And that whole blackmail thing they originally spouted out was carried forward by at least 100 YouTubers, probably maybe not that many, but close. I mean, it was all over my feed on YouTube. People I'd never heard of before, all of a sudden doing a show about blackmail within U.S. soccer between Reina and Berhalter. And I'm like, fucking Christ, this is such bullshit.
We talked about this at other shows and stuff, especially the Reina show. I know when Tact even kind of tiptoed around and basically said, they're saying this, but I'm holding off, back on it, But it was good to see some people out there that were like, let's pump the brakes a bit. Let's get all the information out before we start jumping to a conclusion.
You know what? What it taught me was motherfuckers don't know what the fucking definition of blackmail is. That's what it taught me.
Well, it was all the verbiage from Berhalter. He's like,
Mhm.
somebody, this person's got a story that they're going to leverage over me to try to sever ties with USSF, and people are like, it's blackmail.
No. It's not just Greg's intimation of that. It's actually U.S. Soccer leaking that language to fucking people who are writing articles like Jeff Carlisle, and then him having to go, oh, fuck, my title sucks now. Yeah, that sucked, Jeff, because they lied to you, and you should know better than to trust them. You should have talked to the Rainas first before you fucking posted that article or read them. But it's the race to get the news out first. That's the problem here.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems.
And I mean, I hate to say when you start throwing out a term like blackmail, because again, neither USSF's statement nor Berhalter's statement specified blackmail.
No,
that was a media and a social media push. And when you're talking about writing an article, and you say, "Well, this," and then especially when Claudia Reina and Danielle Reina got outed as a third parties with inappropriate behavior, and you're saying like, "I can't believe the Reinas blackmailed Berhalter." I mean, that's a liable offense. I mean, you can get sued for that shit. That's a silly fucking thing to do.
And if Jeff Carlisle ever revealed who he spoke to at U.S. Soccer, who gave him the blackmail lead, they would have a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, he's a member of the press, and he doesn't have to reveal who his contact at U.S. Soccer is. And that person is a real pile of shit.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. But he's the same pile of shit. It's been doing this with all kinds of other issues, right? This is not the first time. And this is one of the reasons why U.S. Soccer do not like people like Pete. I know our photo was on the slide, but we're really not one of the people they're worried about.
Yeah,
they're not worried about us. They're not worried because we were part of
people.
We were part of the establishment 10 years ago. So a lot of them look at us, even journalists look at us and go, yeah, we know those fuckers from 10 years ago. They're not worried about us because they haven't watched our show. They just assume it's okay and it's fine and that we don't disagree with them on things, but we do. And we've had some of them on the show before we went to the live video thing. And, a lot of journalists, and I'm not naming any names here, but it's pretty evident from talking to some people who've been on our show in the green room prior to the show that the word had been sent out that Pete and Tack were bad people, bad faith actors.
We found that out when we first started doing live streams.
Yes,
we heard from a number of people.
I know, but even when we were not doing live streams, we were doing recorded streams.
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning who we had on our show. You can go back and look if you want to. I'm just going to say, I'm not saying specifically names, but a lot of people came to us because they knew us from 10 years ago. They came on our show. We brought up how, why we decided to start our show because we watched Pete doing his. And we're like, why don't we fucking just do our show? Fuck it. And they're like, oh, that guy. Yeah, that guy. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that guy. Well, no, that guy's pretty cool. He knows what he's talking about. He's not. And it was always the assumption from everybody that I've talked to in my old, I still have my old stomping grounds, and I'm in touch with some of those guys, and they all had that assumption about Pete and Tack. And some of them would even ask me, why are you guys hanging out with those guys? What's wrong with hanging out with them?
Well,
Like, what's really going on?
what are we doing here? No.
What are they? And I would say, what are they saying that is so, well, first of all, so different from what we're saying, because it's not. And why are we acceptable to you and they aren't acceptable?
Well,
like, why is
yeah.
that?
Well,
I couldn't figure it out.
Here's the thing. This is the problem that the world is in right now, is that if you're hanging out with somebody that they seem unworthy, no, we won't get canceled because we're fun-loving guys. I mean, it doesn't really matter, you know.
Oh,
But you can be canceled. You can be canceled. We're idiots with microphones. Yeah. But you get canceled for just listening or hanging out or following somebody. You know, we don't agree with everything Tack and Pete say. We don't. We have small arguments here and there. We have a lot of the same opinions.
It's nuance.
But even if there's somebody that this is what I like about Twitter, because I get to talk with people who generally get shit on by people from our community per se, and I can have a fun conversation with that person, just joking around about something or whatever. This whole Raina conversation, I've had plenty of conversations with people who generally probably don't listen to our show at all. And it started off kind of controversial, and then eventually it got into a joking manner, and then, you know, shit's good. The problem is people are always too compelled to say, well, this isn't the same like thing. This person doesn't say the same thing I say. So I'm gonna chastise everybody else who listens to them, who talks with them, who communicates with them, and moves forward from there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if I agreed with what Tack says or what Pete says in their shows. It shouldn't matter if we're hanging out with them.
But my question is, what have they said that has been so fucking offensive, so off the mark, so wrong?
Yeah.
That I know that can be cheeky on Twitter. I get it. I've seen the tweets, whatever. He can be cheeky. Yeah. So what? Who cares? That's just cheekiness.
That's the issue. The issue people take Twitter as an extension to life, as if that's the real world. And the problem is that most of the internet is not the real world, and probably isn't suited for most people.
Well, I know he's had arguments with people too, but I think most of those arguments start A, because he's cheeky, and B, they assume the worst. Yeah. And they've already been told.
It's what I've heard. Yeah.
Listen, it's amazing. Pete said this on his show. He said, listen, if you don't think that U.S. soccer is looking around and that you as journalists aren't looking around and know what's going on out here with these independent people, you're wrong. They do. They listen. They're tracking Twitter. They're watching YouTube. They know what's going on. This is nothing new to them. How do you think Michael Cameraman knew his nickname was the Turd? He knew his nickname was the Turd. He already knew, because they're paying attention, folks. Yeah. So that's why you're so important, because you are out there supporting a different way of looking at U.S. soccer, one where accountability is a norm, the norm. Not, oh, let's just overlook this and, okay, Greg Berhalter, yeah, let him keep going. No, we're trying to hold people accountable here, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And this is like, if you look at Germany, you look at England, Spain, Italy, we'd be considered tiny tits, all right? We would be considered little
You're being so tits. Posh, guys. Come on.
Seriously.
Lay into them a little bit.
This is such, our criticism is so generally fair. It's amazing to me. I mean, except when we're joking and we're kidding around, though, when we talk about Miazga kicking dogs and whatever. Those are jokes, okay? Yeah, but when it comes to serious criticism, we're fairly fair. And so is Pete, and so is Tack, and so are Jake. So is, I mean, you name them. I don't know all the shows in the fucking book, but I do know that those shows are fairly, I mean, Jake doesn't get that much criticism. So Pete's press badge is in the mail. Does he still live at 69 Ice Wallow Cobb Road? He lives nowhere near that resort right now.
Thanks, Turd. That basically wraps our entire show into a nutshell there.
He should be getting back from Switzerland pretty soon. He went to Germany, then he went to Switzerland. And I know, because I asked him if he wanted to come on the show. He's like, dude, I'm in Germany. And then I'm heading to Switzerland and I can't, I'm not going to be available. So there's that. But I just, I wanted to be really clear, because we've had our own experiences, or I have, especially as a former writer, dealing with this shit. So, and you got to know that there are certain lines you can't cross. But at the same time, people who are writers now, who see what we do or what Pete does or what Tack does or what Jake does or whatever. They know they're like constipated because they're like, oh man, they get to say that shit and I can't say it because I will never get another interview again with Greg Berhalter. No one will ever call me to ask a question again. That's a problem, people. And it needs to be fucking fixed.
We'll never get our interview with Greg Berhalter?
No, we will not. No, we will never get another interview. We will never get an interview with Greg Berhalter. We should have done that 10 years ago. And we probably could have because we knew.
He's coaching Columbus Crew. Why would we want to interview him then?
No, 10 years ago he wasn't.
Was he at Hammerby at that point?
I don't think he was even a Hammerby yet. But we had teammates of his on our show. So we easily could have asked them for his number or contact. But we didn't because we're like, who's Greg Berhalter?
I was going to make the joke there, Derek. I was like, maybe that's too mean. I mean,
not Elon. Yeah, I'm like Berhalter. Not Elon Musk says at the Straight Red Card are there people who share these views on the inside. Share these views? Absolutely, they do, but they can't say it out loud. Like, okay, let's just take Meg for example. I'm not saying she shares all our views or whatever, but Meg, knows there's a limit. She's told this. Like, there's so much you can. We had her on the show. She said there's only so many things you can ask. You've got to know where the limit is, and there's only so much you can write.
Herc talked about it on Tech
Show.
Show.
Said it. Yes, Herc
Jimmy
said
it on our show.
And though, okay, I want to give props to Herc, to Jimmy, to Heath, even to Davies, Charlie Davies, because they're not as afraid as others, and I like that. I mean, they do twinkle toe around. They're like, okay, we got to be real careful here when we talk about this.
I guess the problem is in that sphere they have friends, and you don't necessarily want to
hurt anybody's feelings.
Hurt anybody's feelings in that sense, but they at least do bring stuff up.
They do as much as they can within a limit, and I think sometimes over the line, and I think a lot of them have felt they've gone over the line and they're worried. Oh shit, are we going to get blackballed?
Well, that was the thing. We know with Herc and Jimmy that they've specified that they were blackballed to some extent, at least. And Herc said like I think on Tech shows like I'll never. Anytime there's ever an interview with ESPN, I'll never be brought up for it. But then Berhalter came on to their show, which I think may have tried to. Oh,
that was trying to soften the edges there on that relationship. And then fucking Herc called him a fucking Muppet. So, I mean, it's just like, I guess,
yeah, he did.
That's done there. I'm sure Shredder, and by the way, that is how Brian told us to say his name. I know we had people coming on here going, it's pronounced Skiretta. No, he told us specifically, and I've known Brian for
10 some odd years.
Long time.
It was one of our early interviewees.
Yeah. And he's been back on since we've come back too.
And he's getting back on soon.
That's how he says his name, Shredder. That's how he told us to say his name. Does he share some of our views? Oh, I'm sure he shares some of them. I can't say all of them because he's his own person, and I don't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah, you won't go in the details of the ones he shares with us. But yes, 100%, he shares some, but we're all unique in the sense where we have our own opinions, individuals. And the thought process. Now, you may find out that like Derek and I don't necessarily disagree on a lot. We do disagree from time to time, and those are fun moments when we our voices get raised.
Usually on Meatloaf.
But
generally we'll have some disagreements. Sometimes we actually, unfortunately, work them out in the green room before the show. We always talk 15 minutes before the show.
It's funny because most of our conversation beforehand is like we start talking about a topic like, oh no, we shouldn't be. This is good content. We shouldn't be talking about this right now.
Done. This conversation's over. Save it for the show. So it went from blackmail to rift. Journalism has zero shame. The Berhalter Reina rift explained what it means for U.S. soccer going forward. Yeah, but now the Reinas have been basically smeared.
No, exactly.
Like how are they going to clear their name now? They didn't blackmail shit. Yeah. They made a bad decision. They did some stupid shit, but it wasn't fucking blackmail.
Well, this is the problem with media in general. Is you run with the first headline. The headline comes out, Berhalter blackmailed, and then all of a sudden Reinas come out like it turned out to be the Reinas. It's just a rift between old family friends. But the problem is that everybody who doesn't follow the whole thread, the whole timeline, are just going to be stuck on that one ESPN article like, oh, he was blackmailed. He was blackmailed. It still comes up on Twitter. He was blackmailed.
So one of the cool things about early journalism is you would have somebody do an opinion piece or an article back in the 50s, back in the 1880s, back in the 1890s, whatever. Then you would have somebody else read it, and there'd be a journalist in another paper, and they go, fuck that shit. That's all wrong. I'm writing an article that exposes that article. Well, we don't do that anymore in journalism. All journalists have to join hands. Nobody criticizes anybody else's article, and that's a bad thing. If somebody writes an article and it's junk, why can't another journalist criticize that article? Back in the day, you could do that. That's what we do on this show. We find a bad article, we'll read it, and we'll chop it to pieces. And hopefully he doesn't take it personally, because that's what we do on this show. We stomp on balls when that shit's bad. And
maybe throw out a nickname when we can't remember your actual name.
Right. I mean, exactly. And it's a sisterhood, brotherhood thing now. And I get it. Like, you're all in it together. You got to stick together. But there was a time when journalists butted heads. They had different opinions about things, and they would write different opinions on different topics. But we don't have that much anymore because it's all too sensitive. So no other writer's going to come out and say, Jeff really fucked that up by putting that out too early and having to make 100 corrections on his article. Nobody's going to say that, but we're saying it. I mean, but we're not blaming it on Jeff either. Well, we are, because Jeff needed to fucking vet that shit better. He needed to talk to other people before putting that article out that was really cast aspersions on Claudio in particular.
I'm not saying that he didn't reach out to the Reynas. Maybe the Reynas.
I don't know if he did.
I'm just saying, maybe the Reynas flat out just said, we're only going to release this to the people at the Athletic, because we like them for this reason, whatever reasons, Maybe that was the whole plan. Was we're only going to release this to the one media, I don't know. But did he reach out to them and say, hey, what's this about you blackmailing Berhalter?
I didn't see that in the article. I reached out to the Reynas, but they had no comment. I didn't see that. You used to put that in articles when I used to write. I know that was a long time ago. I know it was a decade ago, but so what? You still did it. We reached out to so-and-so for a reaction and they had no response. So therefore I'm going with what I got. And that would make more sense. But it really looked like Jeff's first article was like pure USSF stuff, information.
You think the exec that we just listened to, whatever, JT or whatever, TJ, JT? Do you think he went over to Jeff and said, here is your article, just go ahead and pass it to your editor?
No.
Find there's no spelling errors?
No, because he would have said it like this. Here is the
I know, I'm
article.
Just joking.
And could you pass this along to your friends? That's what he would have said.
And Jeff would have been like, what?
So yeah, exactly. So just
you put this down in writing. What you want me to do? Because I feel like we're not speaking the same language here.
Just know that they are watching. They do pay attention. They are reading your tweets. I know we're small. We don't even have 3,000 fucking subscribers. But
this time next year we will.
They watch everything. They watch anything that, like, if they find out somebody's spreading something, they want to find out who's spreading the turd thing. They found out who spread the turd thing. So they'll call people. But yet, do know this. There were people inside U.S. Soccer who do talk behind U.S. Soccer's back. And there are people who know things that they're hoping that nobody else knows. Why do you think Pete can name the starting lineup 2 days before or 1 day before a game? Why do you think? Because Pete has, and Pete said it. He knows somebody at U.S. Soccer. So I'm not revealing anything. Why do you think I know some shit about Brooks? It ain't because of U.S. Soccer in that case. It's because of other people. But I'm just saying, people talk. And sometimes the things that they know are really wrong, and they know that U.S. Soccer or somebody's getting fucked over. They want to get the real truth out, and so you just got to be careful. You got to be careful. you got to know who the real sources are you can trust, because some people can come up with some shit and give you some stuff, and you're like,
Well,
okay, I'm not relying on them anymore.
As any organization develops a culture, there's always going to be people that'll push back. They don't necessarily share said culture. And I'm not saying USSF is like that, but I'm saying USSF is kind of like that.
Well,
but there are always going to be people who are like, well, I kind of like Pete, but I can't say that.
they're also
I don't disagree with this, but I can't say that.
right. There are journalists out there, for instance, and people within U.S. Soccer who are very constipated. They have information. They know in their hearts, their true moral hearts, like real morality, not the immoral leadership conference, that they think needs to get out. And they don't have any other recourse, because it's not like they can tell a journalist, because it'll get them fired. So they call people they can trust, or they text people they can trust that won't out them, and give them the information to talk about here on YouTube, whether it's Pete, whether it's Tact. Tact has lots of connections with players, for instance, we don't have, like young players. So yeah, that's what U.S. Soccer doesn't like. They're starting to see, oh shit, how do they know that? Oh, how do they know that shit too? Oh fuck, what's going on? We're losing control. Okay, that's a problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they don't take like a nuclear bomb option. I think what they need to do is what they sort of were trying to imply they were doing about 8 months ago, which is like, oh, I'm going to reach out to Pete. I'm Michael Cameron. I'm going to reach out to Pete. Listen,
I give him
that's
like a
fine.
Kermit voice there.
I know. That's how I imagine he really talks. Not like the turd that we do here. So
wait, are you saying that he's not German? Is that what you're saying?
He's not. And that's not a German accent, by the way.
It's a goat accent, sure, but
it's sort of an Eastern European accent. But it's the goat. You're right. It's a talking goat accent. Jeff Pettibone. Hey, Jeff, welcome back. Even though, I nudged you in the nuts last time, I'm giving you credit for coming back. Did Claudio send written messages or not? That's what I'm confused about. Yes, it was a mix. So what I'm hearing is some text, some phone. No, not phone. Some personal contact. Remember, Ernie Stewart was at the World Cup. So they ran into each other. All right. So it could be in person.
I would say the messages that are in reference here are either going to be voicemails or text messages saying, we need to talk. Berhalter's out of his fucking mind if he thinks he wants to ship my son home, type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's that type of shit. It's not like this is a formal request for Berhalter's job to be shit canned and typing it up on a typewriter and sending it into USSR.
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
It's all the Reynas talking to family friends of like 2 to 3 decades there, not Berhalter's per se, but McBride's it's just, hey, those are the messages. That's the inappropriate behavior is reaching out to your friends who happen to be higher ups in USSF and rubbing dirt.
Well, apparently there was some back and forth, like in person, between Danielle and Rosalind at the fucking World Cup.
It was a rooftop barbecue, from what we heard from 29.
I don't know about the barbecue part, but so yeah, I mean, these guys are all friends or were, and so there's outrage, there's anger, and they're gonna text. I doubt any of those texts said, I'm going to take that motherfucker out if he doesn't play my son next game. I don't think that happened. That did not happen.
Word out of Berhalter's, the story that's going to be leveraged is going to be to take me out.
Because if those texts existed,
they'd be in the
oh shit
investigation.
They're coming out here soon. If they were actually written, like if Danielle wrote a text to Ernie saying, if he doesn't play my son next game, I'm going to out him. And that has not come out. And I think if it were true that happened, that
we would know by now. That's another narrative that's going around. Obviously, it's all being described that the Reynas were pissed off that Gio wasn't getting enough playing time.
Of course they were pissed off.
I'm sure they're pissed off about that. But the issue at the World Cup, again, going based off the timeline, was not necessarily, and this is some speculation on my part, I'm sure, was not necessarily about the playing time, but the fact that Berhalter was willing to ship Gio home. Now, they could have that bicker and argument about playing time, but that's obviously the coach's decision at that point. But shipping what would be considered a close family friend's kid home during the World Cup would have been disastrous towards Gio, just his reputation in general.
Oh yeah.
So,
shit. Yeah, he would have lost millions of dollars.
I mean,
his transfer fee would have gone.
Obviously, 29 has some connections with West and stuff like that. But there was a talk that Danielle was sobbing, just crying, saying that there's some way we have to fix this. Some way we have to fix this. And again, it's not about playing time. It's about the shipping Gio back home.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, magically, they reconvene to say, let's give him one last chance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is possible that Ernie or McBride, this is, again, pure speculation, but it is possible that Ernie or McBride stepped in and said, dude, just make him apologize.
Yeah,
it's
very possible.
Sit him down during the Wales game. He'll come back and you play him however you want to play him in the remaining of the World Cup.
And by the way, why did you tell him before the World Cup he wasn't going to play that much? That's a stupid thing to do.
Are you a fucking moron? What the fuck?
What are you, dumbass? What? Like you're going to tell a 19-year-old whippersnapper that? Because they're going to be angry, dude. What was the thought process there? So yeah. Again, just want to make sure everybody knows out there that people, if you're on Twitter and you're posting stuff and people are listening, people are paying attention. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep having your opinions. Don't let anybody tell you that you're ruining U.S. soccer culture, because you're not. You're improving it. Trust me. U.S. soccer culture, if you want a good example of that, that's all this fist fucking we've been watching for the last week. Incestuous fist fucking.
Mitch posts a so we got Pablo here who's a pundit, and Mitch posts a comment that I responded to that falls in line with this whole destroying of U.S. soccer culture, that type of mentality. I don't know if you've seen this one or not, but
I think one thing we should all be able to agree on is that the Berhalter Reina thing has served to demonstrate how toxic the U.S. men's national team's all-on face can be. And it's just
fan base.
Yeah, can be. And it's also just deepened people's already entrenched opinions of the program on both sides. That's just ridiculous. That is so sick. Like, this guy thinks he's got the moral authority to decide that the fucking fan base is toxic.
Well, and what makes
what?
Fan base toxic? Now, I'm sure there are, again, a small population of people out there that will literally just call you a fucking moron if you think that what's a good one here? That Ferrer should start over Sargent. Why not? Or Pepe.
Sure. Or Pepe.
So I'm sure there are going to be a couple people out there that'll come out and call you a fucking moron. I'm sure Sam receives a bit of hate from time to time for his
Ferreira love.
but I mean, just like what I've been on Twitter this entire time. I've not seen anything on, especially our side, our community, the people that we talk to on a day-to-day basis. I've never seen anything so toxic from them.
I've never seen a fucking thing toxic, and I've been on there a whole 2 weeks looking for it, and haven't found it.
Yeah.
The only toxic
shit through Twitter looking for those toxic fuckers.
The only toxic shit I find is this shit. This is toxic. This is a fucking motherfucking insider who thinks he has the moral authority and, of course, the knowledge to determine what fucking is toxic and what isn't. And he gets to decide, not you, not anybody else. I don't know who the fuck this guy write for. Who's he write for?
He writes for The Athletic, and he's an MLS commentator. Not commentator, but he writes for the MLS too.
Wow.
My response to him was like, I literally just signed up for The Athletic. Don't make me second guess that purchase.
Yeah, no
That's
shit.
my response to him.
Yeah, that's a good response because, dude.
It was the same day that I signed up for their monthly fee, whatever it was. It was $1.99 a month, but still I signed up for it because I wanted to actually get their articles so I can, get snippets of the snippets I want, not stuff that is taken out of context. You might see get peddled around Twitter from time to time. But I wanted to actually, pay into it because they do good work. And then this shit comes out. I'm like,
here's another guy.
Don't do this now.
Who doesn't see like the fan base as a group of individuals with different opinions. Because even though a lot of people agree that Greg's got to go, Some people have different reasons for why they think
Mhm.
Greg's got to go. So that's a nuance. Like
I'm a
people are
one cycle guy.
nuanced.
There's
Yes.
something.
Quit hurting people. This is Pablo hurting both sides. He's got one side he's hurting, then he's hurting the other side to this corner. Stop hurting people. Treat people as fucking individuals, motherfucker. You're not wearing big enough pants not to do that.
Well,
You can
and-
do it.
and
You
it's
can
also-
do
it's
it.
also-
We
it's
do
also-
it.
It's also he takes that broad stroke across both sides of the argument because it just says online fan base. So
Okay.
that means people who want to fluff Berhalter and USSF, and there are people who want to bury USSF and Berhalter, and then everybody in between. But that stroke goes right across the board.
Let me ask you this. So we have people we disagree with. We brought up their fucking posts here before.
Yeah.
Do I ever attack them as a group? No, I always attack the argument and the individuals. I might call them
Well,
a name,
you attack the argument and then occasionally the individual.
the
if they're being,
individual,
rolled
but I
back.
never label them as part of this group or part of that group or never. Everyone's an individual to me, and every individual has a right to be taken on their own argument. I don't ever hear an argument from somebody going like, "Oh, you're one of them. You're one of them people." Like if that's what we're doing here, and that's what Pablo's doing here, because that's the popular thing to do now in culture, not just soccer culture, everywhere. Everybody's lumped into a fucking group. This is getting despicable and disgusting, and I hope it fucking ends. And Pablo's a part of the problem, and he needs to get it fixed. And I'm not saying, and I'm not even looping Pablo into that group necessarily. I'm saying Pablo individually, him
one post
right here.
One
This post is a problem, and it's an example of a larger problem that's going on with other individuals, but not a group, not a herd, not hurting them all together because they're all have their own nuanced, way of grouping us together. That needs to end.
Derek's preaching right now. Applause.
I think we've done this show. I think it's over.
So, I will say one thing. It is kind of ironic, Derek, that you're sitting here attacking Pablo's post, proving that the online presence of U.S. men's national team fan base is in fact toxic because you're now attacking him. Way to go. You've made his point, Derek. God.
I'm not. I'm attacking his stupid opinion.
I wanted to bring up a tweet from Chris Kerr. Just posted literally 4 minutes ago. Couldn't agree more with Straight Red right now. Doesn't specify what about, just in general. Just in general.
Got the claps going. All right.
Okay.
Are we done?
Let's quickly make sure I got everything here. We got that. Wait, no, we didn't. This was the battle between Richie and Jimmy. We could watch that if we wanted to, but we covered it.
Yeah, a little out of context there. Thank you for posting it, but make sure you keep that little context part because it makes me sound arrogant.
I think it's possible that sometimes Keyboard goes out of his way to make sure that he posts stuff out of context.
To make it more go at it. Because when I said it, I think it sounded like Jimmy was going after me, but or quoting me. But it sounded like I said he quoted me.
BMR says, did you guys talk about Bale retiring?
Nobody is surprised.
Nobody is surprised.
Go play golf, bitch.
Everybody saw the trade move to MLS as nothing more than just to keep in shape for the World Cup and enjoy the beachfront property.
I've never seen anybody that looked more like the Planet of the Apes characters on the original movie than Gareth Bale. That monkey-looking mother.
All right. Chamber says, I keep going back to a lot of the media disliking Tech and Pete and a few others more because they only see what they put on Twitter and don't see their actual content. That was my argument with somebody else.
Very true.
Somebody's like, oh, I've had this interaction with them on Twitter. I'm like, do you actually watch their content? Because Twitter is not real life.
That happened with Jimmy when we had him on the green room before the show.
Yeah.
And we were talking. He's like, I've just had, beefs with them on Twitter, but we worked it out and all's good now.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked him if he's never really watched their show before. And that's kind of an issue.
Yeah.
You got to watch the content or you can't criticize the content. You can criticize the tweet if you want to, but you got to have context from which the tweet grew from.
Well, the problem with Twitter and social media in general is you're talking about having to squeeze an entire thought process into X amount of characters. And you're never going to, unless you do an entire thread, which people like to do, but how often do people actually read through threads, quite frankly? I look at the first response and I move forward.
Frankly, the way Twitter works to me is irrational. It's irrational to me. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So I've got somebody who commented 4 responses down from a comment I made. We're responding to somebody else 5 or 6, and I've got to click on them to go find out what comment they're replying to, then click on that reply to click on what fucking comment I made that they're all talking about. It's ridiculous. 3 or 4 attacks, Twitter messages
3/4
is him just trolling. 3/4. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a jokester. Yeah. He's a jokester.
No. What tact is on Twitter? Again, 3/4 is probably accurate because he has 1/4 of actual takes, and then 3/4 of the time he's literally there not taking social media seriously. And that's the whole point of social media. It's not meant to be taken seriously, but people take it too fucking seriously.
And the only reason, folks, that we keep bringing up Tack and Pete tonight is not because we're here to butter up their fucking buns.
We're not fluffing them, guys. Come on.
And slip them a fucking slidey one. The whole point is that this is everything that they've been dealing with and others have been dealing with because of a sort of a grouping together of people, putting them in a package and just like smearing them without listening to them.
It's the concept of we're paid professionals, to report on something, and you're just content creators. All you do is talk. All you do is talk. You're not real,
And yet we're basically delivering almost the same message they're delivering, but we don't get any of that shit from the journalists because we knew them from 10 years ago. And that's not fair. It's not fair because we were on Big Soccer 10 years ago that we get a pass. Like we're saying the same shit. So why aren't you so mad at us?
There is a part of me that kind of wishes that we would receive some hate because I feel like that's great content.
I know it would be. We good would monetize. Us.
Come on.
I mean, if Jimmy,
I'm honestly kind of surprised that Tack and Pete don't monetize it. Maybe they're taking the high road and they're just like, our YouTube content will focus on actual soccer. You and me, if somebody came out and called us out, like, oh, I know what we're talking about Thursday. Exactly.
I mean, yeah. So
maybe that's why nobody does talk about us. It's because we have no shits. We'll talk about whatever.
I know, but no one's been mad at us yet. It's so weird. Maybe that one guy that wrote that last article that I criticized that was so pro Greg. I really ripped him a new one, but I guess he never heard about it. Sean Week says, is the announcement stream for adding Herc and tight shirt to the straight red team? I wish there were, but it would be Herc. I don't think it'd be tight shirt. No offense to tight shirt, but I don't think he could deal with this show. He'd be like, what are we doing here?
We're not going to talk about soccer ever. Taylor, it's 30 minutes into the show. We'll get to soccer eventually. Calm down.
Taylor, we got at least 10 more minutes of talking about sex dolls before we get to this. So just hold on, all right?
Yeah,
have you not had a sex doll?
90% of our viewers don't actually jump on until 30 minutes through the show. So calm your tits.
Is there a reason why you don't hear more? Wrong here. JT, I'm just kidding, though. I mean, it is wrong here, but I'm the English teacher, so excuse me.
Just take a red pin to that one.
No big deal, JT. Don't worry about it. About the U.S. men's national team or other national teams or club teams pursuing Dalic, Croatia. It seems that with the success he has had with the country of 4 million, folks would want to know what his secret sauce is. I get what you're saying there, but let's not fool ourselves. They may only be 4 million people in fucking Croatia, but those are some soccer-loving motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. There are some great players on that team. So I don't know if you're saying he did a lot with not that much, because there was a lot on that team.
The population argument's always not a weird one to me in that sense, but he's like, oh, it's a country of 4 million. I'm like, well, I mean, it's a country of 4 million with like one real sport.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
that's it.
People
that and tennis,
gymnastics, shit like that. Sure, I guess, but in tennis,
barely.
Right, yeah.
Tennis and soccer. That's it.
But I'm like, yeah, but that's like 2 million that could play for the national team.
Yeah.
So whereas here, it's like you've got kids that are like, I'm not a huge fan of soccer, but I'll go play competitive badminton. It's on
Hmm.
ESPN. Why not?
Is it?
You might find badminton from time to time. ESPN2, ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Yep.
Yeah, and Crypto's got to hear China has 1 billion.
And they suck at soccer. Yeah,
I'm kind of
India.
fascinated. I'm kind of fascinated. They don't just grab. They could. They do this on all the other things. They don't just grab a bunch of kids, throw them into a camp just to do soccer. Who cares about math at that point for that group of kids?
Who's gonna train them?
I'm sure they bring over. They pay a lot of money for players to come over and play in their league. So I imagine they could pay a lot of money for the people to come over.
Most of those players stay for a year.
Fair enough. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying.
This is like a full-time job for a decade, more than a decade. Like, would you really want to do that? Like, if you were a European coach of high quality? Hell no, you wouldn't. There have been European coaches that have gone over there and been like, yeah, I'm here for a year. I'm out.
I don't think you need to get extremely high quality coaches to do that. If you have a population at a school of thousands of kids at every age level, I'm sure you can just get some people who are adequately trained in the sport to make them decent.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, we're not talking about making them world class, and
decent.
Don't need them to be world class.
Decent ain't getting you out of the Asian qualifying round. Sorry. Hugh, I thought we were done, but I guess Hugh Jassel has more.
That has to do with the whole.
We did that already. All right, that's correct.
Let's see. Scroll through, make sure I didn't miss one last one. Chris Gary talks about. Here we go. This is something new about the Berhalters, and I think that's going to be the last.
No, it's the same shit.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, he talked about the players that threw Gio under the bus during the World Cup because the news was getting out. And there were a couple of players that talked to The Athletic about it, about how Gio was just not training and how a lot of people, there was a big rift in the player pool there.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, and so the big talk was like it was Yedlin was one, and then somebody else like Long or Roldan or something like that.
Long.
It was all MLS based at that point.
Long. I'm really listening to what that guy's got to say. Yedlin, yeah, I'll listen to him. I'll give him a little leeway, but I mean, don't talk to people about shit inside the locker room. And I've never heard that confirmed. That it was
no.
It's never ever. So most of the guys were like, that shit's over. It's done with. So, All right, thank you guys for showing up again tonight for another episode of. Well, we just say what we want to and fuck it.
Make sure you really.
We
fuck it.
We say what we want. We put it in a nice little bundle with a hole in it, and we fuck that hole. All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, and we'll be back on Thursday with just more jackassery. Good night.
She's a trap, she's an unsung novel, turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
You're gonna do her.
Yeah.
Oh no!